out because I was like, seriously, Lee, you got to 35 years of age and you don't have a life purpose. You don't know what you're here. You don't know what you want to do. What the fuck is wrong with you, right? Because I was still thinking like a part. To give you an example, when I was struggling, I went back to her and I said, look, I just can't figure this out. She said, make a list of things you enjoyed. Do you know what was on that list? I enjoy playing football. I enjoy watching football. I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy shagging. And I enjoy drinking with my mates. That was it. Not exactly visionary, right?
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Okay, I used to think that the whole world revolved around me. Every conversation, every relationship, every single outcome. Mine to control, mine to dominate, mine to win. And then, one day, age 35, I stopped drinking. And that's when I learned the truth. The fastest way to freedom isn't fighting for what you want. It's serving others so they can find out what they need. Yeah, go figure. Turns out the most self-led thing you can do is stop making it all about yourself. Hello, everybody. My name is Lee Davey. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I live a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every single waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. Welcome to another daily dose of these dulcet tones that hopefully will help you get through these next 24 hours without drinking, as I get my Cat Melon's white cat hairs off my microphone. Right, today we're going to talk about service. I was listening to an interview between Lex Fridman and the India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Modi said something that made me stop, get my phone out and make a little note and say, this will be a good conversation for the podcast. And this is what he said. He said, I identify myself not as Prime Minister, but as a prime servant. Service is a guiding principle of my work ethic. Hear that again. Prime servant. Here's a dude who runs a country of 1.4 billion people, and his frame isn't power, it's service. And this got the old cogs whirring, and I was turning back time. Remember Cher on that big warship with that thing she was wearing? Oh my God. Anyway, back then, when I was in the grip of alcohol reliance, unconsciously watching Cher on warships on MTV, I was anything but a servant. I was unconscious, I was defensive, and I was very definitely narcissistic. Every relationship was a game of control. Every argument, a war to win. I had to be right, I had to be heard, I had to be the one. And the thing is, I didn't know it then, but I was deep in parts energy. I was deep in my inner child. A little boy was ruling the Lee Davey kingdom. And I didn't have a single clue that self even existed. And then I stopped drinking. And not long after I stopped drinking, a friend bought me a book for Christmas, and it was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And a shout out to Jack, because I'm sure he's listening to this podcast as a former guest. Jack has recently re-released The Success Principles in a special 20th anniversary edition. 20 years of The Success Principles. Go out and check it out, all right? Anyway, after reading this book, The Success Principles, I took a leap. It was a huge leap for me back then. I hired a life coach. Actually, it was by accident. I got to the end of the book, and I hadn't read a lot of books, and I got to the end of the book, and it said, if you want to join our life coaching program, then ring this number. So I rung it thinking I would just join up for free. Now, let me set the scene. I'm talking to this woman on the other end of the phone. She's a saleswoman, obviously, for the Success Principles team. And I was £30,000 in gambling debt at the time. And she was trying to get me to spend £3,000. And I'll always remember it. I said to her, I don't have £3,000. And she said to me, if you can't find a way to find £3,000, then maybe this isn't for you. And I was like, really? Did you just say that? So by the end of the call, I was £33,000 in debt. But even though it was the most I've ever invested in my life, it changed that life. And that £33,000 in debt was paid back within 12 months. Anyway, at one point, I was working with my life coach on life purpose, and I struggled hard. I remember going back, I'm 35, right? 35, married. I have a really important job. I got a kid, right? Got a lot of friends. I'm an upstanding citizen in the Ogilvy community. And I remember crying my eyes out because I was like, seriously, Lee, you got to 35 years of age and you don't have a life purpose. You don't know what you're here. You don't know what you want to do. What the fuck is wrong with you, right? Because I was still thinking like a part. To give you an example, when I was struggling, I went back to her and I said, look, I just can't figure this out. She said, make a list of things you enjoyed. Do you know what was on that list? I enjoy playing football. I enjoy watching football. I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy shagging and I enjoy drinking with my mates. That was it. Not exactly visionary, right? And at the time, it was quite interesting because I was an area production manager for DB Schenker Rail down in Port Talbot Steelworks. And I absolutely loathed my job. I hated it. But she flipped it around and she said to me, yeah, you might hate your job, but what is it you like about it? Make a list about that. And then something surprising came up. I realized that I loved creating training courses for people. I loved giving people who didn't have a shot to give them a shot. And I loved guiding teams, leading groups, and watching people grow. And she looked at me and she said, it sounds like you love to serve. And that landed hard, not as a burden, but as a calling. Now, what if your deepest freedom isn't found in chasing your desires, but in helping someone else meet theirs? Take a breath, have a little think about that. I'm going to be right back after this break. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. And that coaching moment that I was talking about earlier on, it was a seed. And over time, it grew into my current life purpose, which is to live a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and help other people do the same. And it all started with service, a value that actually runs through the core of my being today. And here's the truth that I have come to live by. When you help other people, you really do help yourself, right? When you serve others, you actually see yourself more clearly. And when you live for more than just you, you finally experience the you were always meant to be. You want to live a self-led life? Start by making someone else's life a little easier today. Not for approval, not for validation, because it's who you are when you're in self. Okay, today's daily vow. I will not drink today because someone somewhere needs me to show up in my power. Service isn't sacrifice, it is sacred. And in serving others, we remember the truth. We were never alone to begin with. That's all I've got time for you today, ladies and gentlemen. If this episode stirred something deep in your loins, please send it to somebody else. Please rate and review the show. And most importantly, subscribe. Can you give me a comment? Go to Spotify or Apple and give a comment. Lee, you're shit. Lee, you're great, whatever. Let me know that there's people out there listening to this, right? And if you're free to take the next steps into a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, you might want to consider our 6-month flagship superhero, absolutely fucking amazing program, the Strive Method. You could try the first week for free. Just email me at thestrivemethod@gmail.com and we'll sort that out. Until tomorrow, remember this: you are beautiful, you are courageous, you are vulnerable, you are amazing, and you will not drink alcohol today. Much love. And strive on.